After 7 years, Tunisia remains the one Arab country to emerge from the so-called Arab Spring as a functioning democracy. Or does it? My guest here at the Munich Security Conference is Khemaies Jhinaoui, the country's foreign minister. Has the shine finally come off the revolution, and with it, the hope of a better future? Khemaies Jhinaoui, welcome to Conflict Zone.
Thank you very much for having me.
You told a newspaper in India last November that Tunisia was now as secure as any country in the world. Not true, is it?
Well, I think compared to 2015 and 16, I can repeat the same statement today.
As secure as any country in the world? There are 5 areas listed as no-go areas by the State Department, US State Department.
No, but I mean, when I said this, because I compared with 2015 when we had the first terrorist attack, and then on the 2016, today I think that our forces are better trained, well equipped.
But not as secure as any country in the world?
Well, as most of the countries.
Really?
Yes.
When you read what the State Department has to say, give you an example. Western Mountains and Chambi National Park. Terrorist groups continue to operate in the mountains of western Tunisia. Jendouba, El Kaif, Kasserine, near the Algerian border. Terrorist groups continue to operate in these areas. Sidi Bouzid in central Tunisia. Terrorist groups continue to operate in this area. That doesn't sound very safe.
That's too exaggerated, frankly. These are the fringes.
But the State Department doesn't know what they're talking about.
But let me tell you, these are the fringes, I mean, on the border of Tunisia. You are talking about mountains. And these mountains, of course, we never said that...
We're talking about territory in Tunisia.
Yeah, but these are very small groups. They are very well tackled by our forces. We know them, where they are moving, and we are following them.
But I put it to you that your advice is dangerously misleading.
No, it is not.
Who should people believe?
No.
The State Department, with the biggest, most sophisticated intelligence service in the world, or the minister of a country who wants to revive its tourist industry?
But let me tell you, the State Department is not saying that Tunisia is not secure.
They're saying places not to go. Do not go, they say.
Yeah, but in Europe also you have places where not to go, frankly.
Where? Here in Germany?
No, terrorist threats. They are all over the world.
Yes, but there are not no-go areas listed.
There is no territory in Tunisia held by terrorists. There is no. There are
that's
groups.
not what they say.
No,
terrorist groups continue to operate in this area.
No.
3, 4, 5 areas.
Yes, but
listed.
They are not holding territories. They are few groups. They are acting. We are following them, but they have been this threat. We are aware of it, but they are not holding. We are not in like other Middle Eastern countries where terrorists were able to hold territories. Tunisia is completely under control of the state.
Mr. Jhinaoui, your own interior minister gave a vivid picture of the hugely extensive terrorist operating in your country. He said in 2017 he'd broken up 40 networks sending terrorists to conflict zones, 6 armed terror networks, more than 120 terrorist recruiting cells. How many hundreds of others are there that you don't know about? Well, and that you haven't got. This is a huge, extensive network of terrorists operating in your country.
Yes, but these are...
And that's from your interior minister.
No, these are cells. These shows, first of all, that our forces now, they know about these cells. They were working...
They know about these cells. They don't know about the next ones.
Yeah, but they know that. But let's be very happy that to tell you that in the last 2 years, Tunisia was immune of any terrorist threat. This is to the benefit of our security forces.
You have several thousand Tunisians who went off to fight with ISIS, reputed to be the largest per capita number from any country. Some of them have been filtering back home. We don't know how good your border controls are. In 2015, a report by Transparency International said your security and customs officials suffered from a lack of transparency and scrutiny. So we don't know how good your border controls are. These people coming back in, you can't be complacent.
Frankly speaking, first of all, speaking about several thousands, I think here you are exaggerating. These are reports by the media. These are reports.
I said several thousand. Yes, I didn't say 7. I said several.
Several thousands. Nobody is able to count them. to say that there are Tunisians. These are people working, I mean, fighting in the hot spots. Nobody, I was told...
And they're coming home, and you have no proper de-radicalization program in your country. No proper de-radicalization program. According to the Tunisian Forum for Economic and Social Rights. There's no program, they said.
There is no problem of what? Sorry?
De-radicalization.
Of course there is. Of course there is. There is a comprehensive policy regarding trying to radicalize all these young people.
They say there isn't.
No, they say whatever they like. But I am telling you, on behalf of the government, that there is a national comprehensive program tackling with working with women, in education, in social affairs, and it's involving all the department of the
government. There may be, but a lot of these people who've come back are sitting under house arrest, aren't they? What are you going to do with? What are you going to do with them?
Of course, if they come,
some of them. That's not a de-radicalization program,
if they come in any democratic country which is respecting the rule of law, these people, when they come back, of course, they are held, interrogated by the police, and if found guilty, they go to the court, and of course, they will be prosecuted accordingly.
Well, let's talk about your claim to be respecting law, because your government's commitment to human rights and democracy has also been contested. The International Crisis Group warned last month that Tunisia was drifting back towards its old authoritarian reflexes, something I'm sure you'll deny. But Freedom House reported that your failure to consolidate democracy meant a sharp decline in this year's Freedom Index, reflecting, it said, a pattern of authoritarian behavior under President Sebsi.
But Freedom House rated Tunisia the first in the Arab and the MENA region. Freedom House, Tunisia is the most free country in that part of it.
It's not living up to the hopes. It says with the latest downgrade. They've downgraded you.
It is number one.
No, they downgraded you.
You check the
it may be number one, but they have downgraded
you. With
the latest downgrade, Tunisia has come dangerously close to losing its status as the only free country to emerge from the Arab Spring.
I contest these kind of reports. This is not reported by everybody. These, frankly speaking, I don't know on which ground.
Most of the human rights organizations, Western human rights organizations, they do not have a good picture, and I want to go into some of these. They do not have a good picture of your progress towards a democratic state.
Well, let me tell you what we are doing. I will explain to you that we are...
But I just want to make the point that it didn't inspire confidence last September that 3 of the new faces in the government had served as ministers during the dictatorship of Ben Ali.
Yeah, and if they are able and capable to handle their departments, I mean, that does not mean they have not prosecuted by the justice. They were never said that these people, they committed any crime.
They're part of the old system. What signal does that send?
What depends? What
was the revolution for? If you're going to bring back all these old faces?
Yes, old faces. But these people, they didn't serve. I mean, they were
served
not
a dictator.
Yeah, but they were not implicated, involved in any criminalities. There is no reason not to, frankly speaking, in a democratic system, there is no reason to recruit able people to run the country when the country is going through transition. So we are losing the best of our...
Mr. Jhinaoui, did you really imagine that Tunisians staged a revolution in order to see these old and discredited faces brought back? According to the Carnegie Endowment, Hatem Ben Salem was widely seen as an apologist of the old regime for denying its human rights violations. Also controversial, your finance minister, Rida Chalgoum, who was named in a Carnegie Endowment posting as being close to the Ben Ali family. Are these really the people you want there?
Well, frankly, I don't.
Is nobody better in Tunisia than these old faces?
No, there are many people, but these people...
So why put these back? What signal is it sending?
Well, there is no signal. We didn't choose them because they belong to the old regime. I mean, the chief of the government, the prime minister, chose them because he thought that these people are the right people for this time to run this Department of Education and Finance.
Seriously, you want to correct the evils of the past, and you bring back with the people who were directly associated with those evils of the past.
But these people, they were not involved in security. They didn't corrupt any people, or they were not involved in torture. These people are civil servants.
They were ministers. They were ministers.
Yes, yeah, but these two people, they were running technical departments. They were not related to politics.
Last month, Tunisia saw widespread social protests in January, and there was widespread concern among Western human rights groups at the way your government handled them. Even the UN's High Commissioner for Human Rights.
How our government handled these rights?
Yes. The UN's High Commissioner for Human Rights was particularly exercised by the many hundreds of people you arrested and felt the need to remind you that all those detained should have full respect for their rights. Those concerns were justified, weren't they?
Let me first tell you that protest in a democracy, it's a healthy sign. Our forces,
I'm complaining about the way, they're complaining about the way you handled those protests.
The way they handled.
Fine to protest.
Let me tell you openly and directly that our forces handled these protests with a lot of professionalism. There was no single casualties. There were rioters, there are looters, but no single casualties. If in any democracy in the world, it can happen some accident, but here...
Mr. Jhinaoui, these weren't accidents. On January the 31st, Human Rights Watch accused your police of beating up some of the people detained and denying their right to a lawyer under Tunisian law. That's a direct violation of your own laws.
I'm not aware of this, frankly speaking. I don't know from where you're reading this.
The Tunisian League of Human Rights visited 23 suspects in the Monaguia prison on January the 17th. They reported that most of them had marks consistent with beatings on their bodies. Consistent allegations of mistreatment.
Is mistreatment a policy, a deliberate policy in Tunisia today? I can tell you no. If there are
so your police are out of control.
Yeah, no. But if there are incidents, I can't say 100% that didn't happen. But this is not what I can affirm to you today. That this is not a deliberate state policy to get back.
It's pretty careless then if it isn't a state policy because it's going on.
There is
and witnesses were interviewed and victims were interviewed as well. According to Human Rights Watch, some people were arrested simply for distributing leaflets that the government didn't like, calling for social justice.
No, they arrested...
Is that your commitment to free speech?
Yes, they arrested 600 people.
More than 700 at one point. More than 700.
More than 700, these people... all of them, they have been freed. Those who were involved in looting, vandalism, they went to the court and they have been prosecuted according to the law. Tunisia today is a country which respects the rule of law.
To call them all criminals and looters, it's the same kind of language that the old regime used to use.
All of them, no, frankly speaking. I didn't say that all of them, they are looters.
Some of these people are expressing real social despair.
They are right.
Minister.
And they are in the right way.
They are, because 9 governments in the last 7 years have failed to meet their expectations, haven't they? 9 governments.
But Mr. Sebastian, let me tell you this, we are living in a transition. And in any transition period, of course, you have stability of the government. But
the question, Mr. Jhinaoui, is the transition going forwards or backwards?
It's going forward.
And a lot of these reports would suggest that they're going backwards.
There is national consensus, not just the government, including the opposition, that there is a national will to consolidate the democratic transition in Tunisia, and there is no going back. There is no returning, and there is a strong will to continue on the path of consolidating the democratic process. We are proud of that.
During last year's Universal Periodic Review at the UN Human Rights Council, your country came under sustained criticism for aspects of its behaviour. Amnesty International, as well as many other groups, voiced concern about impunity for torture and pointed out there had actually been few, if any, successful prosecutions of your officials for torture. That's a disgraceful record.
Not official. First of all, these cases, they are in the court. And if they are in the court, today in Tunisia, we are working to have an independent justice. So it's up to the justice courts to decide about the
Some are not in. The Special Rapporteur on the Promotion of Truth, Justice and Reparations said last year many alleged perpetrators of gross human rights violations remained active in your security services. How can that be?
Who is saying this? I'm sorry.
The Special Rapporteur on the Promotion of Truth, Justice and Reparation.
Is he Tunisian?
He's a UN Special Rapporteur.
So
he reported at your Universal Periodic Review session last year at the UN Human Rights Council.
Saying that we continue to...
Saying that many alleged perpetrators are still employed and active in your security services. So you don't even suspend them when they're under suspicion.
Well, I think most of them, they have been suspended. I don't say that 100% now there is no people suspected to be involved in these kind of practices. But the most important thing...
What are the penalties for torture in your country?
It's forbidden. Torture is forbidden by law.
I'll give you an example of the penalties. In two cases, in July 2015, where officials were found guilty, they received suspended sentence.
But that's not...
That's not a deterrent.
Yes, but that's not the government.
To committing torture.
Yes, but that's not the government.
Well, you're presiding over a country that doesn't deal with basic justice.
Yeah, but this is the matter of justice. It's not a matter of... You are talking to executive minister.
I understand that. Are you proud of this?
I'm not. Of course I am not.
So what's going to happen
if it is happening, I am sure my people and our people, they are looking to these shortcomings and they are trying their best to address them.
As Amnesty International put it, since 2011, the overwhelming majority of credible allegations of torture and other serious violations by security forces have not been independently and impartially investigated. Is that the sort of country that you want to preside over?
This is not the
well, you think they sit around making this stuff up?
They
don't.
Most of the Tunisian people, most of the political families in Tunisia, this is not the kind of country they want. They wanted a full-fledged democratic country. We are proud of the achievement we have already made. We are not yet a democracy, to be honest. We are not yet a democracy. We never pretended that we are full, we finished.
But you've made promises.
We are on the path of reaching a democratic system where transparency, the rule of law, 100% will be respected.
Mr. Jhinaoui, you made promises. You told the Human Rights Council, your government, last year, in response to their many criticisms, that you would ensure all allegations of torture are impartially investigated. When?
But let me.
When are you going to deliver on
I reiterate that commitment. If the government, if my people, said to the in Geneva this, that shows that of course they are doing. But when, how? Frankly, you are asking me detailed question, which if I knew that you are going to ask me this, I would have brought you the details from the right people.
Your Human Rights Minister, Mehdi Ben Gabir, told Amnesty International last year it was taking time, he said, taking time to overcome the Ben Ali legacy. My question to you, why is it taking time? If you tell your police not to torture people anymore, why is it taking time for them to obey the order?
Well, first of all, we have to educate our police. We have to train them.
Don't they understand that you don't torture people? A law comes,
yes, but
you don't torture people anymore?
Yes, but no.
What's so difficult to understand?
It is not a matter of torture. It's a matter of working and serving a democratic system.
So for the moment, they're out of control. You're saying you can't control them.
I mean, I don't say that they are out of control, but I mean, this is not the mainstream of the Tunisian police. What you are depicting here is a wrong picture. The mainstream is trying to respect the rule of law, to respect a democratic system. But maybe in these, there are some cases, and I never pretended that this is over. It's going to take time, but there is political will, strong will, to work towards having a full-fledged democracy where the respect of human rights and the rule of law will be the rule of the government.
Mr. Jhinaoui, what makes your promise so difficult to believe is that you are pressing ahead with a new law that would actually extend the impunity of your security services. This is the Repression of Attacks Against Armed Forces bill, this bill that is in committee stage at the moment. Human rights groups say if your promises to the Human Rights Committee were genuine, you'd scrap this bill. It extends impunity. It allows the security services to get away with
bill is not yet
violations.
This bill is not yet adopted. It is under discussion. It has been controversial. That means that the government and those who present that bill are listening to the people, and I am sure they will be reforming it according to the will of the people.
You're sure about that?
Well,
So why are these?
I can assure you
that there are two very controversial aspects to this law, and your Interior Minister said the other week this law was going to go through. It wouldn't be withdrawn. They're not going to withdraw it. Criminalising so-called denigration of police and other security services, and a law about secrets, the proposal that anyone who discloses or publishes national security-related secrets could spend 10 years in jail.
The idea is that law, it's now under discussion, and if there are any reforms, amendment of that law, they will be taken care of, and they will be met accordingly.
There's a huge protest. It's caused huge protests from civil society
because
in Tunisia.
There are pressure from the police. Do you think that you understand now today Tunisia is a free country? So there are pressure from the police. Those police forces who would like to get more...
Who would like to get away with any violation that they want to practice. That's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this law, if it goes through, as it is written at the moment, would allow them to do that.
It will not get as it is. As I said, it's under discussion, and I am sure all these observations will be taken care of when the law will be adopted by the
You're
Parliament.
already under attack.
It is under discussion by the Parliament, and there are in the Parliament 10 political parties. So it's not the government which is running this, it's the Parliament.
You're already under attack for the law that you have passed, which is the so-called Administrative Reconciliation Law. Let's be clear, it grants amnesty to civil servants who facilitated corruption under the Ben Ali regime without putting them through any legal process whatsoever.
Well, let me explain to you.
So this is getting away with everything, isn't it?
No, this is not getting away.
And you've passed this law.
Yes,
this has already gone through.
But let me explain to you this law, because you are getting wrong information about that law. This is a law regarding those civil servants who were working under Ben Ali, who got the instruction, political instruction, to
that relieves them of responsibility because they were ordered to do something bad. What are you saying? That they had no personal responsibility?
No,
they knew the difference between right and wrong, whether they were instructed or not.
You see what happens now in the administration, which is quite an important tool for guaranteeing, the success of the transition. In the administration today, nobody is able and ready to sign anything. He wants to get, protection.
The law directly contradicts what the Prime Minister said when he came to power in 2016. He said, our slogan today is no immunity for corruption to anyone. No to hiding behind political cover, which is what they're doing. Corruption crimes will not pass. And then you pass this law, which allows them to pass.
Let me tell you, these people, they didn't get money in their pocket. They didn't corrupt anybody. They just, they were in the lower hierarchy. They just implemented decision.
So this law has been utterly rejected by the International Centre for Transitional Justice, as well as your own National Council of the Bar Association.
Yeah,
so popular is it, this law? So popular.
That shows you that there is a debate going on in Tunisia.
It's too late. The law's been passed.
Yeah, but the law, we thought that this is a way to help the administration running the daily business of the government.
It's not. It's a way to help people escape their responsibility.
No, that does not.
For their part in the dictatorship.
If they have committed any crime, this law does not protect them from being prosecuted for any crime or corruption, because this is just related to the civil part of their job. You have to read the law. It has nothing to do. If
your bar association read the law and they came up with a completely different conclusion.
Yeah, because these also.
So who's looking after justice, them or you?
No, the bar and the justice is not us who are looking after. We are the executive branch. We are not involved in the justice.
You keep passing these laws which are so unpopular. You want the West and the IMF to continue funding these anti-democratic processes?
It's not anti-democratic process, please.
It is according to your lawyers.
Yes, yeah, well.
It is according to the International Transitional Justice.
Some of our lawyers, not all of them, they contest this law. They are in the right to contest it, but that does not mean that they are right. We are in the democracy.
people are waiting for milestones. They're waiting for the much delayed constitutional court,
Yes,
which
you are.
was promised. They're waiting for municipal elections,
You are right.
which have delayed and delayed. We see a prime minister who promises that this will be the last difficult year for the people of Tunisia.
Yes.
He's in no position to make a promise like
Why
that.
not? Why
You
not?
don't know that.
Well, let me first, regarding the Constitutional Court, it will be there before the end of 2018. There was the Prime Minister pledges, promised this, and now there is a proposal in front of the Parliament.
It's
Then
4 years
the-
late.
The election.
It's 4 years late.
Yeah, but this is this is before the end of the mandate of the government, of this government. The municipal election will be taking place on the 6th of May, and just the Prime Minister said that that date will be respected and the election will take place.
That's a promise, is it?
It is not a promise; it's a commitment.
All right, Mr. Jhinaoui, it's been good to have you on the program.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much for being
Thank
with
you.
us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.